What does REANIMAL hide out of bounds and behind the scenes in the flooded city and farm? In REANIMAL, a brother and sister must explore a vast, horrifying world while attempting to rescue their friends. But this sinister game has a lot going on that you can't see. From the detail of the death scenes and how they're pulled off, along with how the islands are put together. Also, the fate of this guy. In addition, we'll be breaking the game along the way to see how it responds to situations that would normally be impossible. That being said, the way we're going to do this is in chunks. I'll summarize small sections, and then we'll go back and break them. So let's go. We've just crashed back onto this beach, which should look fairly familiar. Breaking our way through this gate, we'll head up this way, where we'll climb up to the top of this dam. We'll need to find a wheel inside the building to then place over here. We can then move this big gate and open the second set of walls by crossing. This is when we'll want to head all the way back down, get on the boat, and proceed through the gates we just opened. Passing a ton of mines will lead into this flooded store, where there are some questionable customers swimming about. Playing Keep Away, I zoomed through this building, which follows with our characters entering a flooded city. The limited options we have will lead us here, as we'll make our way up and into this building, where we can find these harpoons that we'll be needing. With these, we'll be able to blow the mines up now and defend ourselves as we travel these dangerous waters. So we clear our way into this hotel as we take out more of these creeps, but let's go back and take another look at all this. Let's start by doing a zoom out to the crash site at the beach. Here's a shot of the train yard from before that I forgot to show, as it looks pretty neat from up here. Coming back though, you're probably realizing how we've returned to old stomping grounds as we've been here before. A portion of the piping system we traversed is still here too, but nothing can really be done here anymore. I did, however, try to backtrack from where we had come at the start of the game, past where the trees had fallen. I was able to bypass it, but the camera wasn't happy about it, as it refused to let me turn it. This led me to navigating blindly in the boat, as I, of course, drove straight into the mine I'd forgotten about. Excellent. Not much else is here within the area, outside of prior masks we've already encountered, and pretend doors that lead to vacant spaces. So proceeding forward, you'll see how the minefield will load in as we progress, along with the building that we'll eventually head into. The beach and dam will load eventually too, as you can see. But let's take a closer look at these shoppers inside. Looking like giant baby men, they'll float about within these waters. The first few we encounter are harmless though, as we can see this one just trying to enjoy a carton of milk. Delicious! I had a brief moment of PTSD, in fear of the sniffer bursting out of one of these fools, but it's safe to say that they themselves are the danger now. It's probably a good thing that our characters have masks they can wear, as they potentially help mitigate some of the smell that they must be enduring here. However, these fools will become aggressive and will swim right at us. In this instance, they were having trouble locking onto our boat, which was funny to watch. Once they get a hold of you though, their bodies will viciously explode, taking us out. Needless to say, it's a disgusting, yet glorious spectacle. After dying here, the game unloaded and revealed that there are quite a lot of these boomers, which is what they're referred to as in the game files. However, escaping this terrifying store will load in the flooded city, as you can see from this aerial view. Now I showed this before, but I couldn't resist, and I Michael Bay'd myself again with this particular mine to take in its overall glory. I imagine Mr. Bay would be proud. I noticed the boy was doing some weird stretches during this explosion too, along with Hood cowering on the surface of the water. Moving on, when we get the harpoons that we'll need, there's a poster in this area to collect, if you didn't already know. Now we can defend ourselves from these pesky boomers, as you can see how we can impale them with a single throw. They'll sink under the water, where they'll briefly float before disappearing altogether. Before going to the hotel though, if we head back this way and clear these mines, here is where we can eventually find another coffin. When entering this particular building, you'll see how we're actually teleported, as the interior of this building is located elsewhere, which isn't too far from where we were, as you can see. Here's where the coffin is, being at the bottom of this long staircase in what looks like the ruins of a prison. As we open the coffin, it ends up being the boy. His fate was pretty apparent as we watched the spirit endure a horrifying execution. I guess that explains the rope necklace. Yikes! We'll once again submit mass destruction to the hotel entrance as we navigate these watery halls that await us. Let's continue on from where we left off though. So as we make our way through this hotel, you'll see that we have quite a few boomers that we'll be encountering. Thank goodness for this unlimited supply of harpoons. It appears that we may have found another like us up above here, but we'll be seeing them again soon. We'll even see the boomers' version of what will be considered fine dining. However, when pushing through all of this, it'll lead to seeing our friend again as they wave to us. This is quickly followed by terror though, with this giant seagull flying in and gobbling up this poor individual. The big bird then flies off to the lighthouse in the distance. Out in this open area, we'll observe a giant creature swimming about, but it will just submerge underwater when getting close. Eager to go find the giant seagull though, I headed over to this beach down below the lighthouse, where it was last seen heading. We'll engage in a duel with some smaller seagulls here, which leads to climbing up these ladders along the mountainside. Oh, we've discovered a barn. Reaching the farm, you'll see that we can peek inside the barn, which follows with finding a door on the side that's locked. We'll find a key up front though, as we beat some more birds. Let's stop here and go back through everything we just encountered. When first coming into the hotel, I took to the sky to get an aerial view of it, as it's all that's presently loaded in now. At this point though, I went in for a closer look at this stranger who we see running across up above us. Referred to as Bandage for obvious reasons, it appears they may have just woken up while heading for this crack in the wall. Watching this play out, you'll see that he unsurprisingly will run out of the player's view, where he eventually unloads. Claustrophobia kicks in as the way we came from caves in, which then follows with this elevator dumping a bunch of boomers into the water. It's a beautiful sight, as you can see, but eventually you'll see how the one that comes for us will just appear right in the water during this. All I gotta say is, these full-grown Gerber babies give me the creeps. I ended up not drawing my harpoons fast enough here, as one of them got me once again. This shows that these fools must truly be descendants of the Left 4 Dead boomers. Glorious! There's not much to discover in this big dining room area, outside of getting a closer look at all the boomers. They're keeping up with maintaining their peak physique forms, as you can see. Delicious. Time's up though. Sorry guys, it's closing time. We've caught up with Bandage though, as he's about to have a bad day. We'll see the bird clip through a slight portion of the wall as it enters, all while terrifyingly pursuing Bandage. The way this giant monster slurps him up is aggressive. Stuff of nightmares, if I must say so myself. He'll struggle within the mouth of this creature momentarily, but will eventually unload within the mouth, as you can see. I actually took the camera throughout the entirety of the bird's body just to confirm this. There's no sign of the little guy. This bird will take off into the sky as it flies up towards the lighthouse, which is where we'll see the last of it. For now, at least. It'll land on the top of the lighthouse right before it sinks into the building, vanishing altogether. Going in for a closer look at this giant monster in the water out here, you'll see that it's this thing that looks like a humanoid horse of some sort. It's a terrifying sight, especially seeing how it's missing its lower half. Gruesome. Horseman legs not included with this purchase. When it submerges underwater, it'll freeze and then disappear moments later. Although, if we proceed down this path it was near, you'll see how it'll return down at the other end. This is a section that we're not supposed to reach until later. Approaching the skeletal beast again is not advised, as it will be the end of you. However, I tried seeing if I could bypass it by freezing its movement. This worked, but didn't. At first I thought I had prevented it from spawning, leading to me prematurely unfreezing it, resulting in an F in the chat. Trying again though, you'll see that it isn't quite able to break our boat, but instead will spawn beneath the boat, essentially locking us in place as if it's caught us. The thing is, we'll just be in this locked state indefinitely. It's only until I unfreeze this death horse's movement that it'll proceed to destroy us. Unglorious. If we go around this land with the cannon though, you'll see that there's another path we can go through. It leads to another coffin that we can open, which appears to be within a naval mine. A spirit will come out when opening it, which turns out to be the guy that we just watched get eaten. Fair to say that Bandage's end came from some type of explosion, given the whole theme we're seeing here, perhaps stepping on a landmine. I had some fun with the birds as I fought them in slow motion on the beach, which ended with the seagull pulling me apart. This was not part of the plan. Oops. However, you'll notice that this farm that we're approaching is nowhere to be seen at this point, as it'll only load in once we hit the halfway point of this mountainside, as you can see here. There's a mask up here that we can obtain from the scarecrow within the field. There's a critter within it, which will pop off onto the ground as it'll scurry about. However, in the words of an old friend, it's mine! We've reached the barn though, so let's continue on as we make our way into it. Entering the barn, you'll see that it's full of pigs that we'll have to navigate through. There's a big one in the back that we can get closer to, which is eating, one of its friends. Lovely. However, heading out this door will lead us to a path that eventually brings us to the lighthouse. Once inside, we'll take this spiral staircase up as we discover that the bandage boy is still alive. The first question that came to my mind was, how did this bird get him in the cage? Cutting him down, you'll see that it starts this chase that we'll have with the jumbo seagull as we frantically make our way down and out to the lighthouse. Reaching this torn up barn gives us a brief moment of safety, which will follow with this insane flock of seagulls as they rage out. So I ran so far away. Well, not that far, as we make our way back to the barn filled with pigs. The seagulls aren't letting up though, which leads to a hasty escape as our characters secure the door from where we came. This leads to finding a bus stop. A cutscene will take place here, where we'll end up seeing the sheep again as it's not having the best day. Once this concludes, the bus will show up, which we'll want to board. This takes us on a somewhat short trip as our next stop ends up being at this orphanage. Let's go back once more and take one last look at everything we just endured. Before entering this barn, when we go try the side door for the first time, we can see how the barrel out front will just fall on its own, with the seagulls loading in after this. Obtaining the key, it will just disappear on our person too. The outside portion of the farm will unload once we enter the barn, leaving us with what you're presently seeing. Inside the barn, we won't really see much outside of what we normally see, but it's fair to say that it's still a putrid sight to take in. Up in the front of the barn, there's a statue here that we can light up though. Coming back here with the camera, before engaging the big mama pig, we can see how it's just repeatedly gnawing on this poor small one. The small pig is essentially attached to the head of the big pig, so it moves with her animations while it waits for the main animation to start. However, when bringing our character in here, it'll begin to devour it. It's pretty gruesome to watch take place, if I'm going to be honest. The little pig's face says it all, as it's visibly aware of its fate. Once the mama pig swallows it, you'll see that it unloads immediately within. It'll frighteningly tell us to leave at this point, but it will not engage us, as it's all talk. Continuing forward, Hood will hang back in the barn as we push on, where we can unlock another concept art poster. Outside the lighthouse, we can look within the ground to find several seagulls with looping animations. All of these will be used during the chase scene later. The lighthouse is now here, so we can take a look within. There's not much to see in here while coming through it, which begs the question. Where is the actual location when we're in the lighthouse? Entering the building, you'll see that we're actually being warped down below from where we just were. The entirety of this lighthouse interior is down here, as you can see. While taking a look in here, I noticed how the big seagull was laying here, all contorted, clipping within itself. Getting a closer look at Bandage though, we can clearly see that he's had better days, so it's time to free him. It was at this point though, where I wanted to try and freeze this big bad bird to perhaps see how the game would react overall. During my first attempt, you'll see that it works, as the stairs still shake, as if the bird is still making its way down them. Releasing the bird from its frozen state ended up crashing my game here, which was unglorious, but this allowed me to observe the birdie more closely at the start of this chase. With the freezing and unfreezing process, I must have done something to the game because I wasn't able to leave the interior of the lighthouse as intended. Big Bird was confused with this as well, as it flapped about for a moment, eventually falling over into a frozen state. I thought this meant I would be safe here, which turned out to be false. Unglorious, once again. When getting back outside, we are met with quite the spectacle. It's a flock of seagulls like no other, instantly reminding me of the Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Birds. Scuttle can be found beneath the lighthouse, waiting for his cue, but will eventually come bursting out of it, which follows with this horrific chase. The bird will fly off screen at this point, which is where we'll see it freeze momentarily as it eventually unloads. So at this point, we're aware that an onslaught of seagulls awaits us, as we can clearly see on the roof of this barn. Observing this attack is gnarly to take in, as they begin to swarm us, with the game continuously filling the sky with more and more seagulls. Sadly, when it came to acquiring this footage, it in turn meant the death of the boy, as I had no control of him during this. So this got me thinking, is there a way to hold my ground here and survive this flock of seagulls? Well, my first attempt was simple. I just got back into this barn when activating the swarm. This did not work though. Still determined, I tried again. This time I ran further back, but it once again was a fail. Picking up the ground this time, I attempted to create a shield for myself. There's no way they should be able to get through this. Right? Boy, was I wrong. They still destroyed me. So what I'm gathering here is that there must be some kind of instant death that's taking place. Perhaps as soon as they are on top of us, because nothing was working, as you can clearly see. They are relentless. After a couple more failed attempts with trying to go anywhere but the barn, I gave up. Inside the pig barn now, you'll see how the big seagull will load in and crash into the interior of the barn. It's quite the entrance that the seagull makes though, as it pulls off an exorcist moment with twisting its neck. All the pigs will unload as we contain this mad bird, resulting with it remaining behind this door in a somewhat locked state. The inside of the barn will unload though, with Big Bird following shortly after. Now we're left with what you can see here as we pan over this landscape. The bus that we end up taking can be seen here, just chillin' as it waits for its cue. Of course, with the normal view, it's not visible here. However, removing a barrier here, we can get up into this bus as our friends will follow, clipping through the bus while doing so. It'll begin the whole driving cutscene, basically bypassing the vision that the girl has with the sheep. Speaking of, when this scene plays out, we can see that the location of it is over here. The bigger sheep can be seen doing its animation on loop in here. There's also two models of the girl over here, with one of them wearing a hood. I also didn't know what to make of them, as they are nowhere to be seen in the cutscene itself. I wonder what this meant lore-wise originally. Watching this cutscene from this perspective, you'll see how another sheep is loaded on top of the original one we were seeing, creating the overall illusion of this transformation. The bus driver is a spirit-like entity, which was a bit tricky when trying to get a better look at it, as they vanish when the camera gets too close. We'll make this trip to the next section, being the orphanage, which brings us nearly to the end. As I was getting this overall shot of the bus transporting us, I didn't realize that it would place me back where I started when using the camera. This led to me being able to explore beyond the barrier that's in place here, but there wasn't much I could do. The bus will come to a stop out here when leaving though, as this is where it'll remain until we push on. But with that, that's everything I could find in the flooded city and farm areas. I hope you enjoyed this unorthodox adventure, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers!